Yes. And this is my case book. The documenting and accounting of my chance meetings, my investigations, and my confrontation with the otherworldly creatures that stray into this otherworldly mortal realm. One such story that I find myself particularly fixated upon concerns that of a young lady I knew so long ago. She could add precious little to her narrative, which she communicated with a conscientious particularity. It may seem strange to the outsider looking in to find me so concerned with such matters now that my own time is nearly at an end. Now that the hourglass is tipped so far that barely a grain of sand remains, I fear to look upon this instrument, for I fear I will find my future there in a glass darkly. I can feel the ice-cold hand of the skeletal figure who hunts us all our days close on my shoulder, as if he were my greatest companion, my closest friend. Well, he can wait a while longer while I review my case bug. I once believed that all of my challenges, my discoveries, my intercessions were enough to safeguard my mortal brothers and sisters, to indeed safeguard humanity itself, but no one man can hold back the darkness forever, any more than he can hold a shadow in his hand and wrestle it to the ground. Perhaps it is enough to know you tried, to go to your grave knowing that by my own hand a number of evil spirits are now burning in the everlasting fires of hell. Could it be? But is it enough? Does it make up for the souls I failed to save? Does it make up for my own sins? It is this comprehension of the final resting place of my soul that concerns me most, that occupies the foremost part of my brain. I cannot say with any certainty that I believe my soul will go to heaven any more than I believe it is needed down below. I simply cannot say. But if it is that I am needed in the fiery, dark caverns of hell, rather than make the holy ascension to the heavens above, I can be certain of one thing. I will be greeted most terribly by those I sent before me. Laura, I had both hoped and feared that it would be you that would come and visit me tonight. The memory of you has haunted my every waking hour, and my dreaming state besides. Why then am I so scared that it is you that comes to haunt me tonight in my final hours upon this earth?
You came to me during a strange time in my life. You did everything you felt was right.
Everything I felt.
Everything you could.
Do you remember when you told me of your earliest memories and fears? I think I have them written down in here somewhere.
I remember.
The beautiful lady, the stranger whose face you'd come to know so well in the years to come.
Doctor.
Forgive me.
1,000 times over. And yet, there's nothing to forgive.
Might we then revisit your story and lay that ghost to rest?
How could I refuse you? This night of all nights.
Splendid! I should have come to you sooner. Perhaps if I'd have encountered you earlier.
Your timing was perfect, Doctor.
You flatter an old man.
Do you believe I would ever do such a thing? What brought you to Oshlos, Doctor? Truly.
I think you know.
Well, I know now that you had more than a passing interest in the ancient branch of the Karnsteins, who were believed to be all but extinct. But
Do you wish to know why I was so interested?
I do.
My dear Mistress Laura, how could I not be?
You remember that night?
How could I forget? I was terrified beyond reason and delighted beyond belief. There have only been 3 occasions in my entire life during which I have felt with such cataclysmic force the strength of such conflicting emotions, a trio of terror and delight. And you instigated each of them.
Such notions.
It is the truth.
Mother! Mother! But your mother had since long passed.
Yes. Before I was 2 years old. It never stopped me from calling out for her in the dark.
Poor heart. And you wonder what drew me to your window.
Madame Peridon!
Oh, your governess was also slow to respond.
How often had you watched me?
Often enough. May I sit down?
Where did you come from?
A dream.
Am I dreaming now?
Perhaps you are. Perhaps we are all dreaming. Perhaps that is all this life is, simply a dream for the dreamers. No more, no less.
You're very beautiful.
And you are very kind.
You speak so elegant. Are you my mother?
You should sleep, Laura.
How do you know my name?
Laura! Laura! Whatever is the matter, child?
The beautiful lady! She was on my bed!
You were dreaming, sweetheart.
She hurt me!
It was all just a terrible dream, Laura.
She wasn't mother.
Come along, Laura. You may sleep in my room tonight. I'm sure your aunt won't mind on this occasion.
It would be years until you and I would meet again. All that time, never knowing if you were real or a dream. The wild imagining of a lonely child or something more tangible. A wicked fantasy or delightful nightmare.
And what do you think now?
Now I know better. the way they seem to dance, and under such a bright full moon. It almost feels otherworldly.
Oh, the moon this night is full of idyllic and magnetic influence.
You think so, Madame Peridot?
Oh, yes. And look, behind you at the front of the Schloss, see how the windows flash and twinkle with brilliant silvery splendor. It's as though unseen hands have lighted up the rooms to receive fairy guests. Fairy guests, indeed. The moon tonight draws immense power in its wake. It acts on dreams. It acts on nervous people. And it has marvelous physical connection with all living creatures.
If you say so, Madame Peridot.
I know so, my lady. My cousin, who was a mate on a merchant ship, having taken a nap on deck on a night such as this, lying on his back, his face full in the light of the moon, suddenly wakened after the terrible dream of an old woman clawing him by the cheek. After that night, he was never the same, and his features were horribly drawn to one side. His countenance never quite recovered its equilibrium.
Really, Madame?
Of course not, Laura. Madame Peridot is playing a cruel trick.
I swear it, mistress. My lady, I would never jest at such things. Besides, there's not just me that puts stock in the magnetic power of the moon and its peculiar effects. One has only to listen to metaphysicians speaking.
Metaphysicians, lunatics, and madmen.
Aunt!
I'm sorry, Laura. Please forgive me, Madame Peridot. I wonder if you would be so kind as to go and heat us up some wine. It is a tad colder out here than I anticipated.
Is there something wrong, Aunt Rose? You seem far more curt this evening than I've ever known you to be, and distracted besides. Have you had some news, perhaps, from Arthur, or Bertha and General Spieldorf? I am so looking forward to their visit.
And what makes you think I have received news of anyone, child?
Because I happened to notice a man departing on horseback early this afternoon. He didn't stay for longer than the time it would take to deliver a letter or two. And I have also noticed you placing your hand over your pocket repeatedly as we brought the governors this evening.
How astute you are.
Is it Arthur? How is he?
Your brother is fine. In fact, he will be returning to us soon. His studies in Italy are concluded for the term. But it is not this which preoccupies me the most. In fact, the news I fear I must convey to you, as conveyed to me in a letter by the hand of the General himself, overshadows any joy to be found in the news of your brother's long overdue return.
Aunt?
I hardly know where to begin here. Perhaps you had better read for yourself.
I have lost my darling daughter. For as such I loved her, my dear niece. She was a daughter to me. During the last days of Bertha's illness, I was not able to write to you. Before then, I had no idea of her danger. I have lost her, and now learn all too late. The fiend who betrayed our infatuated hospitality has done it all. Thank God my child died without a suspicion of the cause of her sufferings. I cannot write or talk collectedly now. I am distracted. So soon as I shall have a little recovered, I mean to devote myself for a time to inquiry which may possibly lead me as far as Vienna. Sometime in the autumn, 2 months hence or earlier if I live, I will see you. That is, if you permit me. I will then tell you all that I scarce dare put upon paper now. Farewell, pray for me, dear friend. Oh, Aunt Grace, what do you make of this?
It is wondrous strange, is it not?
Indeed.
Can poor Bertha truly be dead?
Lady Thackeray! Laura, dearest, come quickly. There's been an accident. As I was on my journey back towards the Schloss, I was distracted by a great cacophony of noise. A carriage, drawn with 6 horses and riders fore and aft, came tearing down the lane which runs adjacent to our grounds. Something must have startled the horses. The carriage has veered off course and was overturned. There Where can you see by the stone cross?
Madam, call up the groundsmen, the stable boys, any able-bodied men.
My lady, I have done so.
Excellent. Laura, wait here with Madam Peridot.
But I can't.
I mean it, Laura. Remain here.
Look. Look, they have righted the carriage.
What are they carrying?
I believe they're carrying a young lady. Another woman is with her. Older. Her mother.
We must go to the mother.
But your aunt said...
I know what she said, but we must do something. Go, fetch up some blankets and mulled wine. That will help calm their nerves. I must be terrified. Madame Peridot did as I commanded. And while she was gone, I watched the progress of the small team some way down the hill. In no time at all, I could once more make out quite clearly the form of my Aunt Grace, lending her arm to a woman of a similar age, but whose dress and glittering chains indicated a state of office far greater than that of my aunt, or even our good friend the General. I continued to watch, astounded by the sudden change of events. I noted two of our grooms carrying between them in a makeshift sling what must have been the younger lady whom Madame Peridot had spoken of. They took her directly towards our slosh, even as my aunt and the older woman made their way back up the slope towards the spot which I presently occupied.
Thank you again for your assistance in this matter and your confidence. I can trust you to be discreet.
Of course, Madame.
You have already been so kind. I should have known I had no need to ask.
Madam, you have no need to apologise. We will lend our aid in any way we can. Laura. Madame de Comtesse, this is my niece, Laura Thackeray. She is about your daughter's age, I believe.
It would appear so.
She has very recently been sadly disappointed. We were expecting a visit from a young lady of our acquaintance, but
She died, Madame, quite suddenly, and
Oh, I grieve for your loss, child. But might I beg a favour?
of course.
Please do not mention your loss to my dear one. She is still not quite yet recovered from a recent accident. That which I described to you, Lady Thackeray, and I fear for her health. Such news would disturb her greatly.
Madam, of course.
I cannot thank you enough. Such kindness. How am I to repay you?
Well, you must not think of it, but you yourself must be flustered by this whole affair. Can I not persuade you to stay the night?
I thank you for your generosity, but I must be on my way. I have leagues to travel on a mission of life and death, one which I know my poor child will not survive in her current state.
Fear not for her.
No, please, Madame, rest your mind in that count, in as much as you can.
You are a kind and thoughtful girl, but I must ask, no, demand, that while I'm away, you do not attempt to discover any more about our family name or heritage. Do not ask my dear one. It would only cause more distress in her current state. I promise there is nothing sordid or untoward in our past or present.
Of course not.
Perish the thought.
My concerns are only for her health. You understand? I will reveal all to you upon my return in 3 months. But now I must leave. She will rise late. It is part of her condition, the terrible affliction with which she suffers. She will seem weak. She is proud, not overly so, but
Madame, please do not fear for her. My niece, Laura, will care for her.
Indeed, it will be nice to have a companion.
I thank you. Thank you 1,000 times. Until we meet again.
And so, like that, we received our strange and beautiful visitor, who, it seemed, will be staying with us at least 3 months. I couldn't help but feel excited, despite the devastating means by which our guest had arrived. I had only caught a glimpse of the young lady that evening, but was bursting with excitement at the idea of introducing myself formally, of making the acquaintance with one whose fortunes had, like my own, been turned upside down that night. A doctor was called the following morning, and I rose early to ask him whether I might be admitted to speak with our new guest. I was delighted to discover that the doctor in question was none other than Arthur!
Laura! Ah! It's been far too long. Have you missed me terribly?
I'm sorry, you remind me of someone, though truly to speak, I've no firm recollection of him at all. It's been so long. He may have been my brother, or...
You are a tease.
Of course I have missed you, Arthur. I have enjoyed your letters, though.
And I yours. They brought me much joy and hope in some of my darker times.
Darker times? What do you mean by that?
Nothing. I mean, nothing that matters now that I'm home.
And are you home for good, brother dearest?
We shall see. Now, concerning our patient.
Yes, how is she? I am desperate to visit her.
I thought you might. She's been asking after you?
She has. Might I visit her before breakfast, do you think?
I don't see why not.
Thank you, Arthur. It really is good to have you home. It's been very lonely here without you, and you've been away for too long this time.
Forgive me.
Always.
Come.
I'm sorry if I'm disturbing you. Forgive me for staring so, but you remind me...
so much of a dream I once had.
I was about to say the same.
Really?
Truly.
Could have been only been 8 or 9 years old.
As was I.
Oh. Sleepwalking through the rooms of our old house, I found myself in an unknown dormitory filled with empty beds. I heard a strange noise and frightened hid myself away. After several moments had passed, gosh, they felt like hours, I drew up all my courage around me like a blanket and dared myself to creep out from under the bed. I heard the unmistakable sound of a stifled sob, and peering out and up was greeted by... there is no other way to say it. It was you. Your face. I could never forget it. I thought yours to be the most beautiful face I had ever seen. But it was you. You as you are now. Yet, well, that was years ago. How can such a thing be?
My dream was very much the same. Only I was young. I was the girl who'd been asleep, and it was you. The most entrancing creature I have ever beheld. You, as you are now, who crept out from beneath my bed.
How can such a thing be explained?
I don't think that it can.
How wondrous this world is!
May I join you?
Oh, yes, please. Come, sit with me. I can only choose that we were always destined to meet this way, that fate has thrown us together at last. Though I truly feel I first made your acquaintance so many years ago.
Yes. My name is Laura. Laura Thackeray. What may I call you?
Apologies. I'm still struck by your beauty and the strangeness of the events that have led us here. You may call me Carmilla.
Carmilla. An exotic name, even for these parts. It suits you.
You're a most excellent host, dear Laura. I know that truly I should feel lost at this moment, alone and abandoned. But how could I ever feel such a thing when I wake to find myself, my care and my well-being, entrusted to one such as you? Someone I feel I already know so well.
You will cause me to blush.
Only to flush with the colour of the spoken truth. The honesty of your being rising to the surface as your blood moves apace through the open gates of your true and honest heart.
Are you always so poetic?
I suppose I am. Especially when presented with such a muse.
We resolved to become fast friends, and did so very naturally from our first moments together. I was careful not to pry into Carmilla's past as the mother had instructed. I asked no questions relating to her family, her heritage, or Even how she came to be travelling so late that fateful night that it delivered it to us. Though, do not mistake me. I burned with an impatient desire to know the answer to all these questions and more besides. She was, as the Countess had said, slow to rise in the morning and very rarely eat anything of substance, though she would take a glass of wine in the evening with Aunt Grace and I to help her sleep. Her sleeping arrangements in themselves were nothing too far out of the ordinary, though she would insist on having her door locked from the inside. And besides this, she could not abide the idea of having a servant remain, even in the closet beyond, to attend to her needs if she woke in the night.
We suffered a robbery once, when I was very young. Oh, it was a brutal undertaking, during which one of the servants was killed right before me. Since then I have always slept with the door locked from the inside. I hope Lady Thackeray will not mind. Oh, your aunt is so kind, and I would hate for her to take it as a slight or an insult.
Oh, no, Carmilla, not at all. She'll understand. I guarantee it.
Oh, you are so perfect. You always know exactly how to cheer me, how to comfort me. I wonder, have I finally discovered a friend? A true and eternal friend in you, dear Laura.
I am yours, Carmilla.
I believe you are. Come.
Laura, Aunt Grace wishes to speak with... Oh, forgive me, Carmilla, I hadn't realised it. It hadn't occurred to me that you might not yet be dressed. Should I step outside?
Arthur can be an awful prude at times.
Your brother is the perfect specimen of a perfect gentleman. And almost matches you in beauty. I don't see such sombre beauty in a man these days. But come, Arthur, I wish to thank you, as I have thanked your charming sister for all that you have done for me, for caring and providing for me so selflessly during these trying weeks.
Really, there's no need to thank me. I've done nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing above or beyond my duties as a doctor and a gentleman.
And yet you are a rare specimen, Arthur Thackeray.
It's really Laura who deserves your thanks. She has sat vigil outside your door many a morning before you've risen in the fears that you might wake from some fevered dream and need reassurance. I understand you're troubled with ill memories. If there's anything I can do to assist you as your doctor.
You know I am forbidden to speak of my family until Mamma returns. All I can say for now is that we are very old, with ancient ties to this land. This ring, it's all that I have left of my family's wealth for this time. I want you to have it.
Carmilla, I can't possibly accept.
Please, don't embarrass me by refusing. Even if you only wear it until I might repay my debt for your family's kindness.
Carmilla, kindness has no creditor. It's not a debt to be paid and accrues no interest in this respect. It is an act from one soul to another, a silent promise to aid another in the full knowledge that absolutely nothing is owed or expected in return.
I have never known kindness as you describe it, nor a family such as yours. Please, keep my ring. Then I might feel I've paid my way just a little. I know you say I do not need to. Humour me, please, and my silly ways.
I shall. Laura, did you speak with Aunt Grace?
I did. She's received another letter from General Spieldorf, but nothing from her mother yet, Carmilla.
Oh, she is resourceful. I do not doubt we will hear from her shortly.
I am certain we shall. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm holding a surgery in the town this morning. There is a strange ailment affecting the villages surrounding ours, and you know the locals, Laura. They can be a superstitious bunch at times.
Your brother is a wonderful young man.
He is. It's nice to have him home once more. Though I fear it'll not be for long.
Laura? What is it?
Nothing, really. It's self-important nonsense.
I wouldn't think so.
How can you be certain?
Try me.
I have always had to share the people in my life. Share them and ultimately lose them. And knowing this fact does not make it any easier. People come and go. I share them. Share their lives for the briefest moment, and then they are gone. Taken, or they move on. I thought that finally you said you'd hoped to find a friend in me.
Yes!
I had hoped so too. But now, I see that Arthur wears your ring and...
Your fragile heart is wounded. But know that I am yours, dear Laura, for now and always. I live in your warm life, and you... Well, you are trembling.
I am not alone in that. Aunt Grace has arranged for us to stroll and picnic in the glade beyond the western gate. I will let you dress.
You need not leave.
I believe I should.
As you wish.
Shall I call the maid to help you with your corset?
I can manage. I don't want to keep your Aunt Grace waiting longer than she has already.
No. Perhaps I could help.
Absolutely not.
I am very skilled.
I believe you. But you're no servant, dear Laura, no lady's maid. You should never be less than all that you are.
Let me help you.
I forbid it.
As your friend and hostess Carmilla, please, let me.
My necessaries are in there.
many picnics we would share during her time with us. I still remember the anxious feeling that possessed me as I stepped out with Carmilla after what had passed between us in our room. But more than this, I felt a wild and almost animal sense of possession beginning to steal over me as I watched her with my brother. I wanted to be the one to take her on, to hold her gaze, to be the only one she looked upon, the only one to feast on her, I alone. I fought against the urge to scream at my aunt and brother, even Madame Peridon, whose finger, as she bent to top up Carmilla's wineglass, caressed the pale flesh of her hand. I wanted to tear her head from her shoulders. I drew in breath after breath, swallowing down more wine than was appropriate or proper. Yet, all I truly drank in was her. Her eyes, her face, her otherworldly beauty. My brother laughed with her, completely at ease. And I was jealous of him.
And you had never felt such a thing before?
Not when it came to Arthur. We were always so close. Always a team. As one. I could deny him nothing. But when it came to Carmilla, I was fierce.
Interesting.
That night, I dreamt of a great shadow. You remember, I told you of it. Like a panther, prowling back and forth across my rug, pacing my room hungrily, approaching my bed.
Yeah, I remember.
It seemed so real to me. So real that if I simply held out my hands, I felt I might run my fingers through the creature's black, glossy fur. I watched it for the longest time, hypnotized by its slow, assured movements. Watch it leap silently. Felt the weight press down upon my bed. The creature itself seemed to smile over me for quite a time, its jaws agape, its great teeth parted in anticipation.
In anticipation of what, dear child?
I did not know then, though I can guess at it now. However, that evening the wine had soothed me into a slumber the likes I would not know again for a very long time. An easy, carefree slumber despite the dream, the vision, whatever it was.
You did not tell anybody else of this terrible dream, Carmilla, perhaps?
Not at that time, no. But the following afternoon, as Carmilla and I found our way back down towards the glade, we happened to witness a funeral passing by, and, well...
What's that awful cacophony?
Why, that is the funeral for the butcher's daughter, Elena.
Well, do they have to proclaim so loudly?
It was so sad and sudden. Carmilla, you would have liked her. She was beautiful, like you, and so full of life, always a tale on her lips, never a bad word for anyone. And her smile. You sound half in love with her. I think everyone was half in love with her. What happened? No one is certain. Arthur spoke to me of several unexplained deaths in the regions beyond the valley, but nothing this close. I hope she was... I pity her and her family. I hope she was not afraid.
Well, do not pity her, dear Laura. Everyone must die, and we're happier when they do. Oh, that noise!
I think it's rather sweet. The village's final farewell.
Tiresome peasants! I do not know this girl. Why must I be forced to listen to such nonsense?
Carmilla.
Oh, it pains me. Why must we be made to suffer? How do they know our religions are the same? It's insufferable
But
too.
Carmilla, do not be so unkind. I know that is not your way. Elena is the poor girl who Arthur spoke of, who fancied she saw a ghost a fortnight ago and has been dying ever since.
Oh, tell me nothing of ghosts, please, my dear Laura. I shan't see them till tonight.
I hope there is no plague or fever coming. All this looks very like it. The swineherd's young wife died only a week ago. She thought something seized her by her throat in her bed and nearly strangled her. Arthur says such horrible fancies often accompany some forms of fever. She was quite well the previous day, and sank so swiftly and died within the week.
Do you say all this to frighten me?
Of course not. Do you think me so cruel?
Of course not. It's made me nervous, that's all. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, press it hard. Oh, my hand. Press it harder. Don't let me slip from here. For resistance from you.
Carmilla. Carmilla. Arthur!
Think me not cruel. Yes, I obey the irresistible law of my strength and weakness. Your heart bleeds. My wild heart bleeds for yours.
Oh, Carmilla, my dear Carmilla, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please be well again. I can't stand to lose you as well.
All must die. Laura. And all of...
Carmilla. Arthur!
And my dear Arthur came and took her back to your schloss.
He did.
And what happened to Carmilla?
She trembled. All over. With a continual shudder as irrepressible as an ague for some time after. Arthur took her straight to her room where we remained, watching over her. I held her hand once more, and it seemed that all her energies now were strained to suppress another fit, with which she was then breathlessly struggling against. At length, a low, convulsive cry of suffering broke from her, and gradually the hysteria subsided.
And she slept well after this attack?
No, rather she remained on her bed, seeming a little exhausted as one would expect, but with a swiftness that took myself and Arthur by surprise. She became unusually animated and even chatty. Eager to distract her from the awful experience and not wishing to upset her further, I brushed out her hair and sat with her another hour or two. I listened as she spoke of everything that was nothing.
And there was no further sign or hint of the malady that had engrossed her so?
Nothing to speak of. In fact, there was only one other time that I saw her grow anywhere as near and livid and angry again, though this time it was with anger rather than ague.
Go on.
It was perhaps a week or so later. There was a chill in the air, but it was refreshing, nonetheless. And we decided to go and visit the Eastern Turret. It is the oldest and most humble part of our schloss. But it affords the grandest view of the countryside. Morning had come and gone, for, as I have said, Carmilla was never early to rise, and I fear I too must have taken up this habit. It follows, really, as I would often sit with her in her room, talking the night away into the early hours. She appeared to be afraid of heights, for she remained in the shadow of the doorway, and I assured her we could return to the schloss proper, but she would not hear of it. She would never concede of weakness. As the afternoon progressed into evening, and the clouds gathered around us, she eventually found her courage and stepped up onto the balcony.
Who or what is that?
That is Dagmar. Good evening, Dagmar.
Mistress Laura.
What is it, Dagmar?
Carmilla, that is his name. He is a peddler. You look well, my friend.
Oh, too kind, Mistress Laura. Too kind indeed.
Is that Samson I hear? Where is he and why is so unhappy?
Oh, I don't know what to tell you, Mistress Laura. This pup has made it its purpose to humiliate me today. I tell him to lie down and be quiet, and instead of that, he stands before the gatehouse, barking like a hound from hell. Forgive me, my ladies. I wonder, might I interest you in a song or a poem, perhaps even a charm, to protect against the vampire that even now stalks through Styria as swiftly and hungry as any plague.
Oh, please, Dagmar, do not speak of plague.
You are quite sweet to protect me, dearest Laura, but I promise you I'm quite well today. What is this vampire?
Oh, I thank your mistress for asking. He's the father of evil and feasts on souls such as yourself, beautiful, young.
And why would he do such a thing?
Because everybody must die, and all are happy for it! Or so he says.
So it's two of your charms to protect against this vampire.
As your ladyship wishes. I also possess, amongst my skills less useful, the art of dentistry, and with my two keen eyes, I can see a rather long tooth on the right, sharp indeed and pointed like a needle. If it so happens that this tooth is a cause of pain, then with my tools I'd be happy to cut and snip and round it down.
How dare that mount back and insult me so! Where is your aunt? I demand redress from her. Where is she? My father would have the wretch tied up and flogged with a cart whip and burnt to the bones with a castle brand.
You ask me too boldly, Mistress Laura.
Forgive her, Dagmar. Leave the charms with the maid. She will pay you. Thank you.
And how was she when she returned to you?
Perfectly approachable. Serene, even. As though she had never known what it was to be angered or afraid or annoyed.
And she slept well that evening.
I believe so, at the time. Though, I myself was troubled once more.
The nightmares.
That evening, it seemed the great shadow, as before, passed to and fro before my bed. I guess it must have been 5 feet nose to tail. I guess at its length, but I believe my speculation to be accurate enough as when I watched it pass in front of my hearth rug. The creature eclipsed it entirely. The rug was indeed 5 feet in length.
And what makes you think this was any more than just a dream?
It was more vivid than any dream I've ever known. For as I watched the creature move back and forth over my rug, I found myself becoming more and more drawn into the kind of hypnosis that I've previously described. But this time, it was much stronger. And I had not taken any wine that evening, so it could not have been that. I felt myself very distinctly slipping from consciousness, which would suggest to me that previously I had indeed been awake. I remember feeling the weight of the creature as it stole firstly onto my bed and then upon my person. I was pinned fast against my bed, but continued to spiral down and down into myself until I felt there was no way that I might ever clamber back out again. In the darkness, I remember feeling a pressure upon my throat, like a cold, flowing sensation, like the river when the ice has only just begun to thaw, when the water moves slowly and sluggishly. And I thought I felt lips upon my skin, but not the furred and leather jaws of a panther. Lips. Human lips. But again, they They were far too cold to be in. And then I
You
slept.
You felt no panic? No panic at all, despite the predator at the foot of your bed, despite the sensation of the weather?
No. I know, it sounds strange, and I still cannot fully explain it. But once I began to drift, once I was taken, as it seemed, by the flow of the river inside my breast, I felt completely at ease. Perhaps it was exhaustion?
Perhaps. And you remember nothing else?
When I woke the next day, I went to find Carmilla, who was, by this time, taking a cup of chocolate in the conservatory. When I came to her, she seemed to sense me. And turning, she took me in her arms.
Oh, my dear Laura, I've suffered such a fright this last evening.
Tell me.
I dreamt of a great, dark, lurking creature. Feline. It was definitely feline. I dreamt it came into my room last night. That it was circling for some time, as though to hypnotise me. It leapt onto my bed and I felt certain it meant to do me harm. Oh, but then I felt under my pillow for the charm we bought from that hunchback. Oh, so cruel to him, so unnecessary. But no sooner had my fingers brushed against the charm, I knew that I was safe. I opened my eyes to find the creature had gone.
But how?
I cannot explain it. I know my words must sound strange. You'd be well within your rights to disbelieve me, to question my sanity even.
No, Carmilla, not at all.
Oh, you are the sweetest girl I've ever known. To have someone that does not simply laugh in my face. You do not know how refreshing that is. You are so patient with me, my love. So kind to listen to my nonsense. A shadowy predator indeed.
But I had the same dream, Carmilla.
You did?
Yes, only...
Yes?
Well, I imagined, that is, I thought. I proceeded to recount my strange experience to Carmilla. I told her of the creature that sauntered to and fro before my bed. How the creature seemed to leap up and press me down. How I had lost consciousness beneath its pressure. I told her of the sensation of the river, of the ice breaking and moving apart.
Oh, my dear girl. Where was your charm?
I think I dropped it into one of the little vases after dinner.
Oh,
I did not believe it to hold any power. I am a rational being and have always been raised to think so and act accordingly.
Of course. Mamma always insisted on such sense. Rationality above all things.
Yet you believe the charm saved you from this creature?
Yes, I do, absolutely.
But my dear Carmilla, how is that following a train of rational thought?
Well, I once believed in evil spirits. I believed that they made your dreams, or rather your nightmares. But a pleasant doctor visiting me once, the only kind physician I've ever known, told me there is no such thing. He said it is only a fever passing by, or some other malady, which merely knocks at the door, as it were, and being unable to gain entry, passes on by.
So what do you think the charm is?
Well, I can only speculate. I'm sure your brother would have a much clearer idea. But I can only imagine the charm has been fumigated or immersed in some sort of drug that works as an antidote against the malaria or against the fever.
Oh, so you believe it acts upon the body, upon the physical?
Yes, of course. Well, you don't think evil spirits are afraid of embroiled charm, do you? A piece of ribbon intertwined with wild flowers.
No, I don't suppose they would be afraid of such things.
I'm sure your brother would approve of my hypothesis of fumigation.
Yes, I suppose he would. But I could not take on Carmilla's resolution to the same degree of certainty that she had. And yet, I still found myself seeking the charm that I purchased from Dagmar. That night, I pinned it on my pillow, and I found myself falling into the most profound sleep. That was true of every night that followed that week. And yet, every morning, I woke with a strange lassitude. A great languor hung upon me, and I found more and more an unusual melancholy beginning to steal over me, seducing me, if you will. I was a changed girl. Dim thoughts of death began to haunt my deep and heavy slumber, and more frighteningly, they began to creep ever more into my wakened state. Whatever the cause of such a condition, my soul was beginning to acquiesce without resistance.
You said you spoke of sleepings, that more than ever you felt the sensation of a cold, flowing river. That you... Perhaps you had dreams that you couldn't possibly recount. But then again, perhaps you could recount them after all and simply wish not to speak of them.
I remember speaking with Laura about this very point. She expressed eventually that she could never truly recollect the scenery, persons, or any one singular connected portion of their action, just that the dreams left a dread and draining impression upon her, a sense of absolute delight and absolute exhaustion. And in her person this appeared to be so indeed, for it seemed to me as though she had passed through a long period of great mental exertion and even danger.
Arthur, I am so sorry.
Come, sit with me. Sometimes there comes a sensation, like a hand, being drawn across my cheek, my neck and throat. Sometimes it is as if warm lips kiss me. Longer and more lovingly they travel towards my throat. And it is there the sensation fixes itself. And it is then my heart beats the fastest. I feel my chest rise and fall, my breath quicken, full drawn, as with an ardour of a lover.
A sense of strangulation would come upon her after that, and she would moan and shake and fall into a state of unconsciousness, and I was helpless to do anything about it. Although it wasn't until 3 weeks after the initial attack that I knew anything about it at all, and by this point my dear sister had already begun to look quite drawn. She had so little energy, and seemed to drift from room to room without purpose.
Arthur, my wonderful, intelligent boy.
It was then that I resolved to contact you in Vienna. I know how busy your schedule was.
I would always have time for you, my boy.
I know.
So this was the point. The good doctor entered our narrative.
Yes.
And it was your dearly devoted brother who was responsible?
It would seem so.
Huh. They seem close, Arthur and the doctor.
They were.
As close as you and I.
They were very close indeed.
Laura, I'd like to introduce you to someone very dear to my heart, a man with a singular and most incredible scientific mind, a man at the forefront of all medical discovery. My dear loving sister, the worthily esteemed Dr. Heselius. Dr. Heselius, my dear sister Laura.
Dr. Heselius, a pleasure.
My dear Mistress Laura, it is indeed an honor to finally be meeting with you.
Forgive me, dear doctor. I feel ignorant indeed to be in the presence of so great a man and know nothing at all of him, whilst your words would seem to indicate you have some knowledge of me and my perfectly ordinary and less than exciting existence.
Oh, my dear girl, I fear your good brother here has laid so much honor at my feet that if I were to stand upon it, it would carry me to the very heavens, indeed, to the very zenith of the pole star itself.
Oh, Dr. Heselius, I've never met a man more deserving of these words. It's not empty praise, Laura, I assure you.
Your brother is a kind man.
That he is. But he is also honest. Kindness and honesty wrapped up with as handsome a bow as any man might hope to wear upon his countenance.
Oh, beautiful! And you speak with such poetry, Laura, yes, and I can see as siblings that you each have the talent for making the other blush, huh? Well, forgive me, but Arthur tells me you have been unwell. Would you allow me to, that is, might you permit me to conduct an examination of your good self?
Well, what would that entail?
Oh, not so much as to trouble you, Mistress Laura. It will take moments only, minutes at the most, and may be done here in the presence of your good and wholesome brother. Will you permit me?
Of course.
All will be fine, Laura, I swear. The good doctor is a trusted friend and the most gentle medical man I have ever had the pleasure of knowing and studying under.
Your pulse is a little heightened and a little irregular, as you said. No sign of sweating, no evidence of fever. I wonder, Mistress Laura, have you eaten anything today?
Oh, no. No, I hadn't thought to. Oh, though I did take a cup of chocolate with Madame Peridon earlier.
Oh, that is good, that is good. Who does not like a cup of warm chocolate, especially when they've been in ill health?
But do you believe me to be very ill, Doctor?
Oh,
Arthur?
Anybody who is ill may find their way back to health, my dear. Just as a candle is poised to guide them from the darkness, should you lose your way in the dark.
You sound like a priest.
You do not like priests?
I am indifferent. But the simple fact of the matter is I believed you to be a doctor, not a holy man. And now I feel myself to have been foolishly deceived. Besides, how do you know our religions are the same?
Laura!
No, it's... Your dear Mistress Laura is right to speak her mind. Forgive me, my lady. Please do not feel fooled. That was never my intention, nor do I wish to see you deceived. My dear Mistress Laura, I am not a priest. Believe me, I have sinned too much for such a life.
Then we are each in good company.
Aura! Ooh, so we are born in the same, you and I, huh?
It would seem so.
In that case, would you trust and forgive me if I asked a small favor of you?
I will certainly consider your request.
Oh, that is very wise. A very wise reply indeed. I wonder, might you unbutton the high collar of your lovely gown so that I might examine your throat and...
Do you believe it necessary?
My dear girl, you have you not, spoke of the sensation of a cold flowing river flowing under your breast, that this sensation travels to your throat, that you have suffered the most terrible nightmares.
Arthur, I confess these things to you in confidence.
Forgive me. I have grown more and more concerned for you, dear sister. I have watched you fading since my return. You might not have seen it, or not have noticed it, but I have. Day by day, another piece of you falls away. I know the death of young Bertha came as a surprise to us all, and I believe you have been hit the most hard. And while it was strangely fortuitous that Carmilla joined our household, despite the awful manner in which she came to be here, I do not think you have had time to properly grieve for the passing of your dear friend. And I believe it's this which keeps you from recovering fully.
How so?
The mind may act upon the body. If it's in a great depression, then the psyche, having suffered such trauma, may follow the body into lethargy and become as malnourished as the mind. But before we skip and hop into a conclusion, a brief physical examination, I beg of you.
My top button.
If you do not mind.
What? What is it?
Clear your mind of dark shadows, my girl. I want you to worry not at all.
Doctor?
Has my brother been overly concerned for my health, when in truth he need not fear at all?
Perhaps, but isn't it nice to know that someone who is so caring of you, to know that the driving force of this other is not for their own well-being, but rather for yours?
I am indeed blessed, Dr. Hesalius. And Arthur, I thank you for your concern. As the doctor has explained, I am quite well. You need not fear for me.
I would, however, if you do not object, Mistress Lowe, like to make one small little request.
But of course.
Excellent. I wonder, do you have a nursemaid, a governess? Yes? Might we speak with her? This is my small request. For the next few days, I want you to stay solely in the company of your governess.
You think me a child?
No! No, my dear, no, it's oh! Here is the governess. You are the governess of Mistress Lowe, yes?
Indeed, sir, and have been ever since she was small.
Oh, that is good, yes. So you know her like no other, you have watched her grow and blossom and would do anything to protect her.
But of course.
Forgive me, Dr. Hazalius, but I thought you said you believed all to be well.
Think of this as more precaution rather than prescription. You are a little weakened, which is of no concern at the present, but should you fall into further weakness, then...
You fear I may faint or become injured in another way?
In 100,000 other ways. The young believe in themselves to be so strong. May fall ill very quickly. There is, of course, no surprise in that.
But what might harm me?
You may eat on my foot, or catch chills staring too long at the moon on starry night, never noticing the cold. But the young cannot put the cold.
You are a curious doctor. I do believe I like you.
Another fault of youth. You like indeed love on impulse.
Then that is your good fortune, Doctor. I will do as you say, and always remain in the company of others these next few days, lest I should fall foul to unripened fruit.
Not a moment alone, madam, I charge you.
You are concerned for her. That mark upon her throat? I thought she might have contracted the strange plague-like illness spreading through the villages. That the more superstitious among them are laying at the feet of a creature they call the... I know not the name.
The vampire?
Yes. It is fiction, I know, but a terrible fiction. It works on them, grips them in a vice-like terror. They will not listen to reason.
This is an old city, my boy, with old tales. These ideas wrap themselves around the heart like the tentacled roots of an ancient tree, and perhaps this is the fault of age. Or perhaps it is the fault of youth to not take seriously that which age has come to know by hard-won experience. Your sister, my friend, is in grave danger. I did not wish to frighten poor Arthur. His compassion for his sister was great indeed, and I have said many times that he was a very intelligent boy. But I was afraid that if I were to ambush him with the truth of all the dark and deadly, despite the very real danger that his sister was indeed in at the time, I feared he would never have believed me. Sadly, I had encountered such reactions before.
Bertha, my dear, where is your mask?
Oh, God. I had to take it off. I'm so very warm.
The Grand Duke certainly knows how to throw a party.
Did you see the fireworks on the lawn?
I did indeed.
I watched from the balcony.
I saw. I noted the handsome chap who joined you there and asked you to dance.
Was he handsome, do you think?
Come, you know he was. And he's not been your only suitor this evening.
No, they continue to ask me. I can't catch my breath between dances.
Perhaps you should rest a moment.
I don't want to disappoint them.
Oh, and you shall not. Let them wait a little longer. You are worth the wait, my dear.
May I sit with you?
Oh, please do.
I'm quite exhausted,
And I, though I fear to sit for too long.
You have been quite in demand.
I can't dance with them all.
Neither should you try. Choose only those that deserve your favour. You're a handsome girl, after all. They know it, even if you do not. You are a worthy prize indeed. Forgive me, I do not mean to make you blush.
Have I coloured? That's the benefit of the mask, I suppose.
Oh, please, no. You need not hide from me.
You have me at a disadvantage. Your mask is so fine. You could be quite cool beneath it.
I promise you I'm not.
You do not mock me. I swear it. Then, might I beg a favour?
Anything.
Might you remove your mask? Your voice seems so familiar to me. I feel as if I should know you, but yet...
There. Fear I have disappointed your expectations.
No, rather the opposite. Please forgive me. You've exceeded any expectation I might... Your face?
Do not hold a candle to you, dear girl.
Not so. Even in case your voice was beautiful, but your face, your eyes, your lips.
You are determined to see me blush.
A shared determination, then it would seem. Perhaps it's the heat of the evening, this room, the atmosphere,
The candlelight,
the music.
the company. Would you care to take a stroll outside? I feel the cold air might be the answer to this heat and the colour in our cheeks.
Together.
Of course.
I would like that very much.
Will you not now consent to the removing of your mask, madame?
And give up my only weapon, my only armour.
You speak as though we were at war.
Parties such as this are often a kind of battlefield. Do you not think?
Ah, but we, at the very least, are on the same side. Of that I am certain.
Oh, are you now?
The stories you told me outside, the circles in which you move, you seem to know me of old, and I would swear, madame, that I know you, although I have not yet seen your face. I'm sure I recognize your voice. Why, I'm certain we must have crossed paths before.
You are correct, of course, General. I could never deceive you for long. We were indeed very close, once upon a time. But years have passed since the good old days, and you may not like the vision you find behind the mask when compared with the memory you believe you hold of me.
Madam, do you think me so fickle?
Oh no, never, dear sir. But I've been absent from the court of Grand Duke Charles, and indeed the general company of others, for so long now that I am almost afraid to return.
You must not fear, madam. Let me be your guide, an arm to steady you on your jaunt back into society.
Gallant as ever, just as I remember. You are indeed a true friend, sir.
Madame, may I speak a word with you?
Not here, outside, 2 minutes.
As Madame wishes.
Madame, is everything...
Fine, General. Everything is fine. But no, all is not well. You see that fellow that went before? He has been in our family for, well, far too long. He never brings good news. But nevertheless, I must speak with him alone. Will you wait for my return?
As a sentinel, I assure you.
So you actually knew the Grand Duke? Yes, he was always calling him when I was younger.
Really?
Oh yes, and he is rather fond of Mamma. In that and many other ways, he and your dear uncle are quite alike.
That must be why he seems so familiar to me.
Perhaps we played together as children. Perhaps we must.
Uncle, I'd like to introduce you to my friend, although you must already know her and her mama. She is...
You may call me Malaka, sir. It's a pleasure to see you in such fine health.
The pleasure's all mine, Malaka. I feel a very deep connection to both you and your mother. Though I must admit, she is a wily one.
She is indeed, sir. Although she has had to be. Oh, forgive me. Fear I may speak out of place.
General, may I speak with you briefly?
Of course, madam.
Dear sir, do you now know me?
I fear to say I still do not have your name. I cannot guess at your family.
Forgive my secrecy at this time, General. Believe me when I tell you we are true and dear friends who have been sadly unacquainted for too long a time. Years have passed since you last saw my face.
And yet your voice is still familiar, as are the features of your delightful daughter. She must have inherited such beauty from her mother.
The charmer, as always. But it is your kindness that I need more than your charm at this time, dear sir.
You shall have them both, madam.
I have received from this sallow-faced fellow that went before such dire news that to waste but an hour in responding is perhaps to lose all. I can only offer an apology for the cryptic nature.
You have your reasons, madam.
I do, and I swear to you that upon my return in perhaps 4 weeks' time, I intend to make a visit to your castle and renew a friendship far too long neglected. That is, if you will receive me.
But of course, madam. My home shall be as your own.
This fills my heart with joy, dear sir, for I have one further request to make. My daughter, whom you see sitting with your ward, is not so well as she pretends to be.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear it.
She will not survive the journey I have to make, and I cannot bear the idea of losing. Oh, forgive me.
It is understandable, madame.
Indeed, the journey in coming here was made a little at a time, for she needs to rest so often. Might she, and again, forgive my boldness. I would only ask this of one of my closest friends, someone with whom I entrust my life's blood. Might she remain here with you and your niece until I return?
Uncle, I was wondering, might Malaka come and stay with us, visit as a guest for a time? I so want to have her. If Madam allows it, that is.
Oh dear General, I fear your niece has become my unwitting accomplice in this request.
Oh, heavens! I cannot fight a battle on two fronts without reinforcements. I suppose I must concede.
Thank you, Uncle. Malaka, come to me.
Yes, Mama.
I must leave you for a short time. The business is urgent, but you need not fear. The good General has agreed to take you under his wing. He is a dear friend, and you must trust and obey him. Love him and his niece as you would love me.
Yes, Mama.
One thing more, General. Whilst I am gone, I beg you, do not seek to discover any more about our family history from Malaka. She will only grow troubled, and it may affect her constitution. You look doubtful now, but I will reveal all to you at more leisure. I will bring neither scandal nor shame to your door. I swear it.
Madam, your coach is ready.
Malaka.
Yes, Mama.
I do this for the love of you. To give you all this. But love will have its sacrifices.
She is truly gone. She won't return, Malaka. And soon, until then, let me care for you.
Do you mind if we move from the balcony? I need to see her, to watch her go.
Of course.
It was, of course, not by chance or coincidence that young Arthur was able to find and locate me so expeditiously, for I was already in his country. I had been summoned on the behalf of an esteemed colleague to the house of a General Spieldorf regarding the terrible illness that had befallen his young niece. An illness that right now was continuing to baffle every single medical practitioner in the region.
Forgive me, General, but I'm at a loss at how to proceed.
I will not accept such defeat. Do you understand? I cannot. My dearest girl, my Bertha, grows more languid and drawn every day. I need answers, and she needs antidotes.
I understand your grief, sir, and your sorrow.
I will not lose her as I lost her mother.
Forgive me, General, but this is not the malady that took your sister. If it were, the treatment would be quite obvious and be easy to administer. There's been many medical advances in recent years.
All too late for my Liana.
Indeed, sir. Forgive me. I know how deeply you grieve, even now.
I fear I must beg your forgiveness, Doctor. I meant no disrespect to you or your profession. You did all that you could for my sister, and I am eternally grateful. I know you will do all that you can for Bertha.
I wonder if you might permit me to contact a colleague of mine from the Institute of Rare Diseases in Vienna. He's a little outspoken but sharp. A doctor with a keen eye, an ever-exploratory mind. He's a little rough around the edges, perhaps, but decent. He may come up with something that I have missed.
By all means, Doctor. Contact whomever you need. I would rather you bring in viziers, hunchbacks, or conjuring wise women than lose my precious girl. Ah, Mallorca, my dear. Good to see you looking so well, healthy and thriving.
I believe that the rest and the cool country air, alongside the kind hospitality you and your niece have shown me, may be the medicine I've craved all this time.
I wish that was the way for my Bertha. I know there have been complaints of illness sweeping the village east of here, but she has not visited the markets or the churches there since, well, since before you joined us.
Sir, I want you to know, I would give my life's blood to save your darling child. She's become very dear to me indeed.
Oh, please now, Malaka. Do not upset yourself so.
Forgive me. I have known such losses in my life. Rarely have I encountered such true and honest friendship that you and Bertha have shown me. The idea of losing her is simply too much to bear.
There. She will recover. I am certain. I wasn't going to trouble you with such details, knowing your suspicion of doctors. But I was speaking this morning with a local physician. He believes we may have some answers shortly.
He does.
He asked permission to contact a colleague at the Institute of Rare Diseases in Vienna.
You have agreed?
He is at a loss himself, but feels certain that this doctor will have the answers we seek.
I do hope so. For Bertha's sake.
This was the point at which I entered into poor Bertha's story. And although the General had proclaimed his openness to the alternate remedies and approaches to the malady that had taken possession of his dear niece, I am sad to report that this was indeed far from the case.
I am sorry, Doctor.
Oh, is that you?
Indeed. I am... Is that your dog?
Is?
Does he always behave that way?
Oh, most oftentimes, yes. Samson, lie down.
colleague spoke very highly of you. He led me to believe you were an expert in your field.
That is indeed no lie.
And what field would that be?
Well, you know of my association with the Institute of Rare Disease.
What specifically, man? What is your specific field of study?
My dear General, there are many and varied, but I do not wish to further agitate you, neither do I intend to cause you further concern or disconcernment. Regarding your niece, my speciality lies in the exploration of the occult and supernatural. For years I have studied techniques designed to drive out the creatures of darkness that continue to impress themselves upon the living.
Forgive me, Doctor. You realize you sound like a madman?
It has been noted before, sir, yes.
Surely, sir, this is not credible science.
Oh, it is indeed credible, General. As incredible as it seems. But you see, the symptoms that your niece is presenting with at the moment has no roots in any natural diseases known to man or medicine.
Then how do you propose to save her?
I will instruct you. And for your part, you will follow my instructions to the very letter. If we cannot save her body, then we must turn our attentions to her soul and try and save that immortal part of her.
Doctor, you're not filling me with hope.
Oh, forgive me, General, but that is not my concern. Neither is it why I am here. You are not my patient.
No, but I am responsible for Bertha. I care very much for her.
Of course you do, yes. And that is why I am certain you will follow my instruct to the very nth degree.
I'm sure they are all here, Madam Peridon, but I do appreciate your eye for detail.
Well, my lady, I just hate the idea of anyone taking advantage of you, your kind ways and your open nature.
Where would I be without you? Although, I don't mind admitting, I'd be glad to see the back of a few of these. Really. My brother and his collections.
Well, my lady, I know that you do not care for some of the paintings on the list, but they have been in the family for generations. They are Arthur and Laura's inheritance.
Oh, I'm sure we can do better than a jumble of dusty old paintings as an inheritance.
Well, my lady, as you say, the restorers are now done with them. They should at the very least be a little less dusty.
I should hope so. The price they charged. Oh, Carmilla, I had forgotten about the picture restorers. And you have been far too polite to bring it up, but, well, you must have noticed a distinct light of colour and beauty upon our walls. All this time you've been with us. What a dreary and barren place this must have seemed to you.
With you inside these walls, why should I need to look for beauty elsewhere?
You're always so charming.
You tell me. You are the closest friend I've had in the longest of times.
So it is not an act. Not merely kind words moulded for my benefit.
No, oh my dear Laura, no. I could be nothing other than myself around you. I feel more myself with you than I have ever. Do you understand that?
I think I do. Yes.
A little lower, gentlemen, if you would be so kind. Yes, the large landscape with the ruins in the background before they were quite so ruined. Yes, that is to be hung over the staircase in the main hall. There is another painting of the Karnstein ruins, but it has more of the old castle and the chapel. It's much darker.
Yes, my lady, I've seen it.
Aunt Grace, has the painting of Marcia Karnstein been returned?
Yes, I believe it has. Madam Peridon.
Yes, my lady, of course.
These ruins. They must have been picturesque to inspire such work.
Oh, I suppose so. Darkly picturesque, if there is such a thing.
I think there must be.
Arthur and I are related to the Karnsteins, through my mother's line.
It is true, Carmilla. The noble blood of that ancient line runs through these darling children. My brother used to laugh and boasted his singular claim to fame. Well, that, and being the only true-born Englishman in these parts.
What brought him here?
He was stationed here, he was in the services.
What made him stay?
That which always makes us stay. He fell in love.
Laura's mother.
Yes.
And you?
I love his children more than life itself. They are all the family that I need. They're all that I have left.
You are a remarkable woman with remarkable children.
That's perfect, gentlemen. Thank you. Excuse me. Hold on. Good evening, Arthur.
Aunt Grace. Good evening, Carmilla. Laura, Madame Peridot sent this in for you. She would have brought it herself, but cook collared her in the kitchen, and you know how cook can be.
Oh my. Arthur, come look at this. Now it's been cleaned and restored, look.
Huh. Isn't that something?
The likeness is remarkable.
Oh, they even have the same birthmark near the throat, you see.
Yes.
What are you two staring at? Like a pair of school children.
Forgive us, Carmilla, but Laura's correct. The likeness is indeed remarkable.
What likeness?
Here, in this painting. It is years old, but you would be forgiven in believing the artist had painted you only this morning.
Oh, the woman in this picture is very beautiful. You say I look like her? How kind you both are. How sweet.
It is not empty praise, Carmilla. A mirror could not depict a more perfect recreation of you.
And you say this woman is a Karnstein?
Indeed, Carmilla, she is Marcia
Hold on a minute, Laura. Look here in the top corner. You couldn't see it before, it was too dirty. But she isn't Marcia at all. She's Mikala, Countess Karnstein, 1698. Oh, but the likeness. The likeness.
Arthur, do you think Aunt Grace would let me hang this in my room?
I don't see why not. You know she can deny you nothing in this world.
Carmilla, perhaps you are related to the Karnsteins also. Perhaps that is why we feel such a connection to one another.
Oh, perhaps. Would you mind if we stroll outside? The moon is up and, well, I feel the need to get a little bit of air. Do you mind?
Not at all. I can see the existence of the painting has shaken you.
A little, yeah.
Come. You needn't be afraid, Carmilla.
Oh.
I will see no harm come to you, my love. I will always do my best to protect you.
So romantic you are. So devoted, so brave.
Ah, Dr. Hesselius, I've been looking for you.
Forgive me, my boy, I was walking the grounds.
Oh? For any particular reason?
Just to satisfy my own peculiar curiosity. Now might I inquire into your guest? What is her name?
Carmilla.
Ah, yes. And where is she currently lodging at the moment? That is where is her room located within the Schloss?
In the northern wing. I believe she has a view of the forest outside her window.
And the ruins beyond?
Yeah? Why'd you ask?
No reason. I wonder, might we visit the ruins, the old Karnstein castle?
Shouldn't be a problem, but I...
Might we go now?
Now?
Yes, now! Ha!
But the poor girl will be sleeping.
Oh, she might be sleeping, General, or she might currently be in the grips of a fiend that even now is simply like...
Please.
General, please, I do not wish to further cause you alarm, or... I speak with all sincerity and concern. Your police may already be...
No! I will hear no more of this. I think I have been patient enough. But I feel I must ask you to leave now, Doctor. Really? Phantoms in the night, drinking the blood of my poor child.
General, please.
No, Dr. Hesselius, no! Leave my home now, please. Take that mutt of yours with you.
If you will not listen to reasons, and I have no choice but to take my leave. But promise me you will lock in on her, and if you love her...
How dare you!
If you love her, you will take a sword or some other sharp instrument designed from cleaving life from limb. You will go to her room.
You wish me to murder her in her bed!
I wish no such thing. My concern is only for your niece and her eternal soul. Do as I say.
Of all the awful suggestions!
Just wait. Wait in her closet, and then you might just see. And then you may just save her.
Get out!
Come along, Samson.
Oh, it is so nice to
Get out!
be outside in the night air. And the moonlight is so beautiful.
It's so like the night you came to us.
What were you thinking of the night I came? Are you glad I came?
Delighted, dear Carmilla.
And you asked for the picture you think like me to hang in your room?
It will be nice to have a memento.
A memento?
As I have said, people come into my life for the shortest time and then they leave. Leave me again. The only constants to remain are my aunt and Madame Peridon, and though I fear to say it aloud, I know that this will not always be the case.
Oh, my dear.
It is the way of the world, Carmilla. We shall part, or be parted, it is all the same.
What if we never had to part? If we could be together always?
And you say I am the romantic. I am certain, Carmilla, that you, when you are finally able to tell me your story, it will be chiefly made up of some great romance. I am sure, Carmilla, that you have been in love. That there is, at this moment in time, an affair of the heart going on.
I have been in love with no one, and never shall be. Unless it be with you.
How beautiful she looked in the moonlight. I became caught up in her entirely. Lost in her eyes, her embraces, her fond and gentle kisses that told me all I needed to know. That reassured me I would never be alone again. I felt her voice in those moments as if she was speaking inside my mind, so clear and honest and true. And yet, there was an intensity to this feeling. Seemingly harmless, but completely disabling. Like a blanket wrapped too tight. In those moments, she radiated an air of all-encompassing confidence, the likes the one only feels in the presence of a great predator. She was glorious. I wondered whether she would ever fully confide in me regarding the figures of her past, but knew better than to voice the question aloud. Yet, to my surprise, she answered.
You are quite right to ask me of that. Or anything. You do not know how dear you are to me. You could not think of any confidence too great to look for. I am under vows, and dare not tell my story yet, even to you. The time is near, dear Laura, where you will know everything. And you'll think me cruel and very selfish. But love is always selfish. The more ardent, the more selfish. How jealous I am, you cannot know. You must come with me. Loving me to death, or else hate me, but still come with me. Hating me through death and after. There is no such word as indifference in my apathetic nature.
Carmilla.
Forgive me. Forgive my speeches, forgive my nonsense.
You do not speak nonsense.
Many would disagree, dear girl. many have. Were you ever at a ball?
At a ball. How you do flit about. How I adore you.
You do. Don't you?
I think I could lie to you. But I would.
No, never. It is just a wonder to observe how you adore me, how you love me, despite my weakness and my strange ways.
I dare say there would be many who would be willing to forgive these traits. Indeed, they need no apology, no forgiveness. They should be embraced as an intricate and wonderful part of you.
There have been many who have claimed to love me, but none of them as honestly and as truly as you.
You have had many lovers.
I've been loved by many, yes.
Is that different?
Is it different to be adored rather than worshipped?
You're avoiding my question.
Your question concerns my past. Look, even if I had not been sworn to secrecy, I remember little of the time before. I remember it all with an effort. I see it the way divers see what's going on above them. Dense, rippling, but transparent.
And what do you see there?
I see a night that has been confused in the picture of my memory. The colours made faint. I was all but assassinated in my bed.
No.
Yes. I was wounded here. Never been the same since.
Why are you dying, my dear Malaka?
Indeed.
A cruel love.
Strange love. Would have taken my life. But love will have its sacrifices. There's no sacrifice without blood.
You monster! No! Mama! No!
Someone help!
Laura! Whatever is the matter, child? You'll wake the whole house.
Oh, madame, we must save her. We must help Carmilla.
Carmilla?
Yes, I fear she's being murdered even as we speak.
Oh, now, Laura, you were having a nightmare, that is all. Sweetheart, go back to bed.
I saw her covered in blood. Might we check on her?
Who? Carmilla?
Yes, who else?
Well, this is most irregular, but I suppose...
raced towards Carmilla's room, a dread cold fear haunting each and every footstep along the way. We arrived at her door, and it was, as Madame Peridot was quick to reaffirm, still locked. You see? But I was not satisfied. I pounded on her door. Carmilla! Carmilla, if you're inside, dear friend, please answer me!
Laura! What is all this noise?
Carmilla!
Yes, I dare say you'll have frightened her half to death.
She is in trouble. I know it, Aunt. Don't ask me how, but I feel it in my bones. As when you knew when Father was ill, I know something is not right.
Carmilla!
Carmilla? Oh, Aunt, where is she?
Oh, she must be hiding. Carmilla, you may come out. There's no need to be afraid. We did not mean to frighten you. Please.
She is not here. She is in some great danger, Aunt. I know. I saw her covered in blood from her chin to her waist.
Laura, we will find her. We will find her. Bring light. Begin a search of the grounds. Take every person you need. Be prepared to go further afield if you must. Oh, Laura, if anything has happened to her, I will never forgive myself.
Every servant was woken. Every stable hand, washerwoman, and milkmaid we could find. All were told to dress quickly. And soon enough, we began a thorough search of our slosh and its adjoining crowns. I also went in search of Arthur. I'm not ashamed to admit that in any time of distress, I've always sought the comfort of Rufus' loving eyes. Those eyes that reassured me during times of sorrow and trepidation. But, try as I might, I could find no sign of him. Arthur was missing, and Carmilla was absent too.
Did Arthur mention anything to you? Did he mention any plans he may have been contemplating?
No. Are you certain? Yes, I am certain. And yet,
What?
No.
What is it, Lord?
Carmilla, she gave him a ring, asked him to wear it.
A
but-
ring?
Yes, but I do not think we could have run away together.
Oh, I've been such a fool. Oh, it's so obvious. They have become lovers and I have known.
No,
Yes, of course.
no, they cannot.
Of course they can. It is quite natural. A young man with prospects, a young woman with old name and wealth and connections besides. Oh, perhaps the flappy line will not die out after all. Perhaps we will hear the pitter-patter of time.
No! My heart was breaking in 1,000 pieces as that green-eyed monster wrapped its jealous tendrils around that delicate organ. But how can I explain this to my aunt, when she had already made up her mind, when she had already come to the conclusion that Arthur and Carmilla were lovers? I imagined coming upon Arthur and Carmilla, entwined amongst the weeping willows near the brook, or locked in an embrace amongst the lichen-covered headstones in the church grounds. I found myself becoming more and more enraged as I found it hard to reconcile any other reality. And whilst I knew the truth of my feelings for Carmilla, the long nights we'd spent in each other's company, the intimate experiences we shared, despite all of this, I found myself questioning every moment. I did not want to believe it had all been a lie. But it made a sort of sense. A cruel, sadistic sense that my mind screamed out was the rational explanation as my heart continued to break, going, no. She loved you. You above all others.
You and no other.
Carmilla? Laura? Is that you?
Laura, what is it?
Who goes there?
Princess! General Spilstorm.
Grace? Grace, dear, is that you?
Yes. Oh, what are you doing out here? Are you alone?
I am. But only because the men in whom I had previously placed my trust now believe me to have taken lieu of my senses.
How so? Forgive me, Aunt, but is this line of questioning imperative at this time, or do we have other pressing matters at hand?
Yes, of course, Laura. Forgive me. Forgive me, General. We're out here searching for a young lady who is staying with us, Carmilla, and also for Arthur.
Arthur is home.
He is. Oh, he was, but now both are missing.
Do you think they could have simply...
Laura does not think so. No.
Oh.
You know the truth, my darling Laura.
I'm not certain I truly know anything anymore.
But you are certain of me. You know I am made whole in you.
If that is the case, then why did you leave? Why did you leave me? You promised you would never.
Would you believe me if I said I was afraid?
I don't think I've ever seen you truly afraid.
I've learned how to hide my fear well. I experience the emotion as keenly as any other being. Perhaps more so.
And what is it you so fear?
Losing you.
So you left me before you could lose me.
Dr. Hyselius, wait up!
The forces of darkness will not be halted in their destructive path because you did not keep up with your cross-country exercises.
We have stalked these ruins night after night, searched the tombs, the crypts, the castle grounds, the churchyard, time and time again. But for what? I still cannot say. We may have come upon the very thing you seek 1,000 times, and I would not know to tell you of it because I still do not know what it is that we seek here. Doctor?
Forgive me, Arthur. I have been vague with you, vague in the extreme, but not without cause.
What cause could convince you that imparting less knowledge to your student is preferable than giving him the information that he requires to freely enable you and assist you in this errand?
You are such a wet with words, my boy.
Do you not trust me?
Of course I trust you. With every atom of my being, with every singular reflected and refracted particle of my eternal soul.
And I have a way with words.
My fear is that you will reject me. Reject what I have to say, reject the terrible truths that I have come to know.
Dr. Hyselius, I would follow you to the ends of the earth.
And will you stop there? If I took a step further, would you stop at the ends of the earth?
I would follow you through the gates of hell.
And would you take a step beyond?
You mock me!
No! No, my boy, I adore you. I adore your courage, your bravery, your acceptance of your true self, and your feelings for me. They are a gift, a well-received gift, I assure you.
My feelings for you. Not your feelings for me?
I cannot speak of my true feelings.
Why? Because you fear the truth or because you do not trust me?
Neither. Perhaps a bit of both. But rather, it is not you I do not trust, but rather my poor, foolish self, and thus the terrible mission that I have been tasked with.
Tasked? By whom?
Would you believe me if I told you God himself?
No.
That's good. That is good. We are men of science. stalks this earth that go beyond the bounds of our rational knowledge and scientific thinking is this that I fear to impart with you the great evils of this world that stalks this earth unknown my name.
If what you've told me is true, and if you do truly care for me as you assert, then you should trust me to know my own mind. You should equip me to protect myself and not keep me in ignorance.
You are too clever for me, my boy. Come, and I will tell you of the fiend we hunt, the once noble mistress of these lands.
I swear to you, Grace, she seemed to melt before my eyes. I cannot explain it other than that she was there one moment and gone the next. Despite my sword, my strength.
And your niece?
Her breathing was shallow. I called out to the servants. I called for a doctor, but the light had already gone from her eyes before morning.
I'm so sorry, my friend.
We never heard from or saw Malaka again.
Milaka.
That was the name of our guest. She disappeared the night poor Bertha.
Do you think she could have been taken?
Taken? By whom?
Not by whom, but by what. Is that not so, General?
Arthur!
Doctor!
What are you doing out
I could ask the
here?
same of you, Aunt Grace. General, it's good to see you. I was sorry to hear of your loss.
A loss brought about all the more swiftly by your friend here.
Now, hold on a moment.
Dr. Hesselius?
I gave you my advice, General. I tried.
Advice! And the awful things you told me.
Were the truth. Only now I think you have come to realize that a bit too late.
She was innocent.
We are all of us innocent, General, until we are not.
You must forgive the good Doctor, General. He speaks plainly, but he means well. He is one of the most learned men I have ever had the fortune of knowing.
And I, the misfortune.
You may blame me if you wish, General, if that eases your conscience, but sadly, I think we both know the truth.
And that is?
Malaka.
Makala, General Makala, Countess Constein.
What?
She is a revenant. One of those undead creatures that still walks this earth, and we must find her and bring an end to her destructive pattern of holy actions.
What are you saying?
Laura?
Mistress Laura is with you?
She was here moments ago.
You brought her out here.
She insisted we were searching for Carmilla.
Carmilla!
Yes, Carmilla! We thought she may have stolen away with you, Arthur.
Why me? I barely know her.
We teased Laura with the idea that you had eloped. But I was never truly concerned for Carmilla when I believed her to be with you. And she never was with you, was she? Oh, your Laura is out here all alone, and in a far worse state than Carmilla when she came to us.
Laura.
We will find her, my boy. I promise you.
Pleases me to see you. One last time. It need not be so. We could.
You know what you must do.
If you ask it.
I do.
I will always love you. art. A most spectacular creation. But not perfect, not everlasting. Death stalks you, my love. You have tired of me. No. You knew of my illness when you... Hush now, hush. We are beyond those things, you and I. We have seen so much, done so much. We have been so long together. I do not wish for you to be alone. It won't be. I fear it.
Yes, why?
You think she will be strong enough?
Think she will, yes.
You are drawn to broken things, Countess.
And they to me.
But come. We must. It must be done. Soon. Dawn approaches. Did you ever love me?
How could you ask me that?
You can't answer.
Love will have its sacrifices.
No sacrifice without blood.
Dr. Hesselius? I swear this was not here before. How can this be?
We are entering into the otherworldly realms, gentlemen, lady. And in the hours that are darkest before the dawn, all manner of strange demonic occurrences will reveal themselves. Deceptions broken, lines blurred.
What are you talking about, Doctor?
These are the things that exist beyond the outer sphere of our general comprehension, Lady Zachary. Things that military men like the good general here are too quick to disbelieve. Is that not so, General?
You speak as though my reactions were not the rational response of every ordinary man.
Ah, but that is just the thing, General. When dealing with the extraordinary, it is important to open the mind and expand it beyond the realms of the rational.
How was I to know?
There was no way you could.
So what are we dealing with here, Doctor? What happened to poor Bertha?
She was taken, my boy, and her lifeblood feasted upon by a fiend that is secured on the mortal lives of men and women the way you and I are nurtured on meat and vegetables.
What are you saying?
She is a vampire.
No.
Folktale, surely.
Do I say this to lie to you or to seek to mislead you in any way for any reason?
Wouldn't think so.
Good. Then you will let me finish my story. Many years ago, the Karnstein Castle and the surrounding areas were in the grip of a terrible plague, which in actual fact was the aftermath of the vampire and his feeding frenzy.
I have read about this plague, Doctor. One man could not be responsible for so much loss of life.
Not one man.
Even one creature of darkness, as you would have us believe, I do not think.
Because you have never seen it. You do not know the power it commands, and I pray to God you will never experience it.
And yet you would have us believe that this was also the cause of the plague, currently sweeping the town.
Yes, yes, I would, yes. Ah, would you like to hear my story or not?
Please, Doctor, continue.
Oh, all were dead and dying in the final days of their lives. Such was the hunger of the vampire and his 1,000 years of slumber. And yet, upon seeing the Countess Karnstein, he was awed by her beauty. It stopped him in his destructive tracks.
Is it a historic account or a love story?
Perhaps a bit of both, and a cautionary tale besides. The Countess cared for her people so much she tried to strike a deal with this vampire that had already impressed and introduced himself upon her. She swore to follow him into death, in return for him relinquishing his unholy grip upon the town. He couldn't promise the lives, the souls closest to the grave, but they could access heaven untainted by the unnatural curse of the vampire. And so, she gave her soul, that eternal part of her, and the townsfolk would never know of the deal she had struck for them on their behalf.
And then what happened?
She was transformed, along with those closest to her, but it is not an easy process. Not all those that are chosen make the transformation successfully to their undead existence.
What do you mean?
The strain, the virus, it needs a healthy body in order to thrive, free of disease and illness. So in a way, it is kind of lucky that Bertha rejected the mutation when she did.
Lucky! She is dead!
I know, but you must know, General, that she is now free. Her eternal soul is free of the torment of the vampire, the terrible crime she would have committed on his behalf. I know this is hard for you to hear, General, and I do sympathize for your loss, her energy, but you must know that you will see her again when this life is done. You will be with her again in heaven.
Doctor, what happened to the Countess and the monster that...
Transformed her.
Yes.
It is said that they spent many years together in the Karnstein castle, but even that was beginning to crumble around them. She could not stand the sight of him. She had kept her side as a deal, but she could not love him. And as much as he wanted, she could not give her heart to him. And so for many years the vampire travels the world. And upon returning he found Carmilla and her companion waiting there. It is not known whether they intended to murder him outright, for being the father of their kind could curl them too. And so they clasped him in silver chains and put a silver crucifix around his neck, and so that kept him at bay in a form of compliance.
And why the silver? Why the crucifix?
It is not known. It is not known, but there are some that say that the identity of the first vampire, the father of all vampires, to be none other than the great betrayer of God himself, to be none other than Judas himself.
No. Come on, Doctor, speak to me as a man
It
of
is
science.
what it is, my boy.
And do you believe all that the church teaches? Do you count yourself a sinner?
I have sinned, but I have also done God's work and man's work too.
And what about me? Am I a sinner in the eyes of God?
No, Arthur. You are an angel, an archangel, a warrior of God.
And this place?
This is our battleground. The ruins of the Karnstein castle, the final resting place of the Countess Karnstein. She must return here every so often and lie in the blood-soaked earth that bore her into this life.
And you think that tonight is one such night?
If we are lucky, yes. Now, Lady Zachary, you said that the beautiful Carmilla has gone missing.
Yes, she has, yes, but I
The
don't
girl
understand.
that looks unnervingly like.
Countess Karnstein.
Yeah! You are catching on quick, my boy. Now? Well, we must wait to see if she returns.
And if she does?
Then we must destroy her.
How?
By decapitation and the driving of a stake through her heart.
Doctor! She is my guest!
Aunt Grace, she's corrupted Laura, and we...
As this doctor has corrupted you! I see no reason to listen to either of you.
Then listen to one who has experienced loss of the cruelest kind, because he did not heed the words of this. Good doctor, please, for the sake of your child and the memory of mine,
Very well. I will trust in you, my friend.
come, let's make another sweep in search of Laura.
Do you hear that?
Stop where you are, Carmilla!
You!
Or should I call you Malaka? You stole the life of the General's niece. Or Makala. Countess?
Call me what you like, it matters not.
Oh, really?
Names are bestowed upon us as a courtesy to others. They are a construct designed to set us apart from one another. So, call me what you will.
Is that a child?
An infant, yes. Did not pluck it from the breast and plunge it straight into darkness. I'm not a monster. No. It fed well this evening. We both did. Such a generous mother. No. I think its cries are more born out of discomfort rather than distress. But isn't that true of us all? Quiet now, little one.
Do not converse with her, Arthur. She is a demon, a devil.
Oh, come, Arthur. I see you still wear my ring.
Arthur, I've forgotten. Take it off. You must not wear anything impressed on you or tainted upon by the vampire.
Dr. Hesselius? Carmilla, please don't!
No, I forbid it.
You? You forbid it? And who are you, little man? I could tear your throat out and leave you to bleed to death on the floor of this room! Oh, Arthur. Never deserved any of this, did you? Oh.
No, he's innocent. He's innocent.
Oh, we are all innocent until we are not.
Went to work on her, separating her head from her body, driving a silver stake through her heart. The general's aim had been sound, barely enough to slow her down. Too much like the demon, she fought back. She tore at the general's throat, and there was so much. There's no way he could have survived such injuries. There was so much blood spilled. A true hellhound. I must.
Dr. Gonzalez.
Forgive me, my dear. I know she was your friend. I know this must be hard for you.
I did not know she was responsible for Arthur's death.
What did you imagine of that?
I don't know. It was a strange time for me. One in which another may pass through a dream, conscious but without comprehension.
I gave the child to the Sisters of Redress somewhere east of the cast iron ruins up in the mountains. And we gave Arthur the burial he deserved. If memory serves me correctly, you could not come. You were still not well enough.
That is true. But I visited him often when I was well enough.
And will you visit me?
I will place you with him, if you like. Then I can visit you both.
You would do that?
Of course I would.
Now I know I am near the end. With my wishes and dreams coming together just so. I wish there was some truth in this. Laura, I wish you were not the ramblings of a man on his deathbed. I wish you were somehow real.
I am as real as you need me to be.
Sometimes, my dear, that is real enough.
Put out the lights.
I hate to see you suffer. You're still very, connected to your emotions. There is still time, you know, we could...
No.
You can be saved.
He would not consider it saving, and he would not thank you for it. He told me how you killed Arthur.
I did not.
How you forced him to take his own life then.
I've told you already.
But did you tell true?
Cause that you have to doubt me. And now?
The word of a dying man carries weight, Carmilla.
I have told you already. Madame de Comtesse assumed my likeness using a glamour. She went to her death so that we could be together always.
And why would she do that?
Because she loved me. I told you, I have been loved by many.
And love will have its sacrifices.
No sacrifice without blood.
The ring you gave to Arthur.
He went to the grave with her.
He believed us spirits, you know. Drawn forth by an overactive imagination. A dying man's fantasy.
What do you think? Now?
Now. Now I know better. Carmilla.
Laura?
Thank you.